everyone, welcome back to the Superhero Show. Straight into it. We're going to discuss female-led superhero movies because the ones that we have had have been uniformly crap.
Yeah, I mean, almost all of them bad. So
Yeah.
I've just written a feature on the site if you want to read more about what we're
Showing
talking
off.
about.
Right.
No, just it's fusion.
A feature.
It's fusion. Just please read my stuff. Yeah.
Always for the axe.
And it's Supergirl, Tank Girl, Catwoman, Barbed Wire, Elektra.
Barbed Wire.
These are not a good. Well, Barbed Wire was never probably going to be good, but some of these other ones probably should have been better.
I remember when I was a youth, and our local video shop had a cardboard cutout of Pamela Anderson in Barbed Wire. Quite imposing when you're a small child.
As big as your head. And I think when I was doing my research, the last female-led superhero movie was My Super Ex-Girlfriend.
I've never
10 years
seen
ago.
that.
It's not very good.
Okay.
It's verging on a spoof. So yeah, but as of Comic-Con this year, things are looking good. Things are looking up.
So we're gonna run through the ones that are coming for certain, and then we're gonna branch out into the ones that are maybes.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
So at Comic-Con, we obviously got our first look at Wonder Woman in the trailer for her standalone film, which we've talked about already on this show, but I mean, that's the first one up. It's the biggest one because she is the best known female superhero. She's the most recognisable. And it's just really exciting that it's fun. That one.
I still think that trailer's brilliant.
Yeah.
I think it's so good. You don't like it?
No, we've talked about it on
I know,
here.
but
I thought it was fine.
Just recapping if they haven't.
Yeah.
I think it's so good. Yeah, she's definitely one of the stronger things in Batman v Superman, but that isn't saying much.
But it's interesting, isn't it? The fact that the Marvel Cinematic Universe seems to be so far ahead of DC in terms of what they've got out, the quality of it, the success of it, but DC are the ones that are getting in there first with the female superhero movie.
Yeah, so there were Wonder Woman's been on the cards for a bit, hasn't it? Like there's been previous iterations that kind of fell by the wayside. There's even the Joss Whedon script that you can find online and read it if you want.
Yeah, we've all known about the Joss Whedon one because that rumbled on for years, him trying to get that one done. And even on TV, there was what's the actress called?
Pilecki?
Yeah, Adrian Pilecki in that terrible pilot. But I didn't even realise, even before then, in the 90s, Ivan Reitman was trying to get a Wonder Woman movie going with, I don't know who was attached to do that one. I think every actress has been attached to that role at one point or another. But yeah, so that's the first one out of the gates. But then I feel like it's kind of opening the doors for a lot more. Like Marvel is stepping up their game now, and they've got 1.5 coming.
1.5, yeah.
Yes.
So the big one for them is Captain Marvel. So when they did that massive slate presentation a few years ago, they revealed Captain Marvel was one of their forthcoming movies, and they said it would be the Carol Danvers incarnation of Captain Marvel. This year at Comic-Con, they confirmed that it is going to be Brie Larson playing the role.
Which is really great news.
Which is awesome. And also the screenwriter, is it Nicole, what's her surname?
Perlman,
who did Guardians of the Galaxy, is co-writing it with Meg LaFauve, who did Inside Out. That's a pretty decent writing.
She worked on Inside Out and The Good Dinosaur. Yeah. And the interesting thing that they've said, they've not revealed much, but they're changing her origin.
To rework it.
Yeah, because they felt like it was too similar to Green Lantern's origin. And obviously, I guess they want to stay far away from anything that seems like Green Lantern.
Just a little bit. But I think that's exciting because also, I'm happy with them changing origin stories for all these heroes in light of the MCU. There's no point being faithful to the source material when you've got all these films that have changed the world.
Yeah.
So you've got this new character coming in and you can tie their origin into the events of an existing movie. Yeah. It's just stronger storytelling.
Yeah. No, I quite agree. And so the big thing now, which should probably be announced very soon, is who's going to direct it. Yeah. And the shortlist consists of Nikki Caro, who directed McFarlane USA. Have you seen that?
I've not seen that.
I watched it the other day, funnily enough. It's all right. Kevin Costner, athletics film. Yeah. Leslie Linker Glatter, who's done a lot of TV stuff. Walking Dead, Homeland, I think. A lot of the good TV. Lorene Scafaria, who did Seeking a Friend for the End of the World, which has been on my Amazon queue to watch for about a year, and I haven't watched it.
Get around to it eventually.
It's, the one, Steve Carell and Keira Knightley. Yeah. It looks nice enough. And Rebecca Thomas, who had a film that hardly anyone's seen called Electric Children, but that played at South by Southwest this year. And she's a kind of a recent addition to the list. So they're obviously...
They're all very Marvel-esque directors, people who've worked on TV, because I think TV is a really good model for the Marvel universe now. You're coming on, doing an episode basically in a longer, bigger story.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of...
And how it works at Marvel, from what I've heard, is that what will be happening now is that the script is pretty much locked down. They're given the script, and then they've got to come back with a pitch, their pitch for how the movie would look, what they want to do with it. And that's how some of the directors, some of these up-and-coming directors that aren't that well established, that's how they're getting this job, is by going through this pitch process, and then once they've got the job, just spending a long time developing it with everyone at Marvel, so they're not completely sort of on their own.
Imagine if you'd just done one little tiny film and you pitch it and they go, yeah, absolutely shit.
Taika Waititi. He's done 4 films.
John Watts?
Yeah.
I've done a film about a killer clown, and then what?
And a cop car.
What's all this green screen? Yeah, so that's the big Marvel one, but there's actually another pretty big Marvel one that I'm really excited about.
Yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah.
So Ant-Man 2 was renamed Ant-Man and the Wasp last year, and everyone who's been talking about this film saying it is going to be like a 50-50 movie. It's going to be a partnership between the two of them. Exploring the relationship between the pair, how that affects them as crime fighters and their fighting style and this and that. Yeah, and I mean, you know, we all enjoyed the first movie, I think.
Really like Ant-Man. I think I've rewatched it a couple of times, and I think it really holds up. It's a fun movie.
I find it weirdly unmemorable, though. It didn't really stay with me much. But Peyton Reed has promised that the film will be much weirder, and it's going to be in a different genre. So if the first one was a heist movie, this is going to be a different genre, and they've not said what. They're keeping their cards close to their chest, so that's quite intriguing.
What do you think it could be?
I don't know. They have talked about it's going to be a lot about Scott Lang being on the run, being sort of, and I think they were saying that the events of Civil War are going to tie into that a little more as well. He's going to be even more of an outsider on his own.
I really love the idea of them like being a crime-fighting duo, but also the development of their romantic relationship. That's really interesting. Imagine if they just had an absolute row, absolute Barney, and then they have to go fight crime together. That could be really funny, I think.
Can an ant have sex with a wasp?
Anything is possible.
Not anything.
Within reason.
What about a standalone Wasp movie, though? I asked Adam McKay, who co-wrote the script, whether that would happen. He said... What,
an ant have sex with a wasp?
No, a standalone Wasp movie. It's like
unprofessional.
He said he couldn't imagine... He said it could happen, but he sees them very much as tied in with each other.
I think that's what they offer that's slightly different. Like, I want that movie to still be operating on a different scale to the other Marvel movies. You know, we've got this spectrum of like cosmic and supernatural reality destroying with Doctor Strange, all the way down to street level with Daredevil. I want Ant-Man to be the movie that's closer to the domestic. Yeah, I think that's really cool. Yeah, interesting.
Empress. So this is one.
Nothing about Empress.
This is one outside of the DC Marvel cabal. Is that the right word?
Yeah, I think so.
It's Mark Millar, who's obviously had some success with Wanted, Kick-Ass, and Kingsman. Everything he touches seems to turn into a movie. And this is a comic. Not everything. That makes no sense.
It's terrible.
I have read the first issue. It's about. I thought it had a real Flash Gordon vibe, but it's almost like from the point of view if you were Ming's wife. You were married to Ming, and then you realise that this was not a good life to be leading. And so the girl runs away to her home planet. I think she leaves her kids behind as well. And then they follow her, and it's this action-adventure where they're trying to stop her, and she's trying to get away. So yeah, Joe Roth, who's done a lot of big movies, Alice in Wonderland, Snow White and the Huntsman, is producing. And earlier in the year, they charged a guy called F. Scott Fraser with the task of writing the script. He's done XXX, The Return of Xander Cage. That's the trailer with him.
That's the one where he is skiing on trees.
Yeah, and is he motorbiking on water?
Yes.
Yeah.
Equally logic-defying.
So they're calling it a cross between Star Wars and Guardians of the Galaxy. Hey, aim high. But like I say, I've only read the first issue, I think, but it gave me a real Flash Gordon vibe. But yeah, so this will be more of a space opera than sort of an earthbound superhero film. But
Flash Gordon sounds interesting.
Yeah. And then we've got some maybes here. So these are films that have been talked about for a while. We'll start off with a more recent one, Harley Quinn.
Yep. So Margot Robbie doing in press in the lead up to the Suicide Squad coming out was talking about how she wants to make it happen.
Yep. They actually this leaked before Suicide Squad came out. The fact that they were going to do a Harley Quinn movie, probably because those trailers were blowing up and people were all about her character. Yeah. But also, apparently, she was the driving force. The more she read about the backstory of Harley, the more she wanted to get a standalone film going, but it won't be solo. Apparently, what she wants is to have some of the other female heroes and villains, and they've talked about Birds of Prey and Batgirl being in it.
Batgirl's a great shout.
So apparently she employed a screenwriter who was a female screenwriter, they've not said who, went into Warner's with the pitch and they said, yeah, let's develop this. But it's all got a bit quiet since the reviews and the movie came out.
Yeah.
So I don't know where that leaves that one. I mean, the film has...
She's definitely one of the most popular elements in the movie.
Yep. And the film has done pretty well. Based on those reviews, you would have think it would make no money, but it's actually doing okay. It's still to come out in some territories. So I feel like this one will happen because I just think they've got to make some of these things.
Some of the character.
Yeah.
Margot Robbie is a AAA actress.
Yeah.
So I think that would happen. Be interesting to introduce the Batgirl stuff again with all the other plans. It's what we're talking a lot about with DC is getting so many elements up and running for every single movie. Like that's casting Batgirl, Birds of Prey. How does that tally with like the Batman movie? Is she tied into that? She would have to be, I guess, because why she adopted that iconography. Yeah. So yeah, it's just more complex than it seems.
Yeah,
I think
you're right. What about Black Widow? Are we going to see a Black Widow movie ever?
I don't know. It's been discussed for ages. Like I think for years, and like ever since I've been doing this job, that question's been asked. Where every junket, like, can we ever see it? And they've always they've never wanted to shut it down because you don't want to shut down a possibility because also that makes a very definite statement about what you think about that character. But I'd never feel like it's really true. Like they've announced their slate, they would have announced it. Yeah,
I mean you're right. When I was doing my research for the feature, just going back through the timeline on IGN, every year it comes up, and every year you ask either Joss Whedon or Scarlett Johansson or Ken Feige. And Feige's the one that seems to be the most negative about it. He's always like, yeah, it could be possible, but I don't think we're going to do it now, and it's difficult. And it feels like he doesn't want to do it.
Yeah, and it's like her kind of, the size of her role fluctuates between the movies, like going from Winter Soldier, she's a huge part of that movie, to Age of Ultron and Civil War, she's kind of more limited. In Ultron, she's more limited as well, even though she has that relationship with Banner. We've got hints at her backstory, her childhood through Winter Soldier as well. I feel like they've given you some of that character, but if they ever do a standalone movie, I think they would pair her up with Winter Soldier.
Yeah, well, we felt like, didn't we, when we saw Winter Soldier, that it could have been called Captain America and Black Widow.
Yeah.
Like Ant-Man and Wasp. It did feel like it was almost a two-hander between those two. I think you're right, though.
Like, it's cool. Like, we always discuss about how Marvel likes to dabble in all these genres, and like, there is a possibility to a darker espionage thriller, but I think it'd be almost more interesting to do it when they were younger, when she was bad, when she was an assassin and she wasn't working for the good guys.
Yeah.
Because now her fate is so entangled with what everyone else is doing. I don't know how you carve the space out for her in this universe, especially with Winter Soldier, the character, being reformed now. You kind of want to see them being bad back in the day.
Yeah, and we asked Joss Whedon at Comic-Con whether he'd be up for doing it, and he said he'd love to, because he likes dealing with superheroes that are a bit more grounded. He said he finds it a bit harder when it's something like The Vision or Thor, where they've got these really
ridiculous powers,
stupidly powerful characters, whereas she's much more grounded. And so he said he'd like to do a version of her story that was like John le Carré on crack, which I thought was a really nice quote.
Yeah, I love a bit of John le Carré.
Yep. And in Whedon we trust.
Imagine him on crack.
So you never know. And then finally, the last one to talk about is Mystique.
Yeah.
Another one like Black Widow, where it's been kind of vaguely talked about all the way through these movies, even back to the original trilogy when Rebecca Romijn was playing her.
Yeah.
But never quite happened. But now they've got pretty much the biggest movie star in the world playing the character.
I really don't find Mystique that interesting.
No.
Character. I never have. Like, she was obviously kind of important in the comics, but especially her importance has been so inflated in those X-Men movies, especially when Jennifer Lawrence came on board.
Yeah.
Because her star was in ascendancy. I don't find it that interesting at all. And I don't know, like, even though, people have said what they'd like to do with that film, I feel like it's more because they have her in the role, more than you've got an interesting story to tell.
Yeah. It's quite a downbeat note to end the conversation on.
That's what I bring to proceedings.
So which of these are you most excited for, or would you most like to see happen?
I'm definitely Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel, because obviously they're the most tangible of all of them. But of the ones that could happen, I think I would love to see a Black Widow, John le Carré on crack movie. I just can't see it being commissioned.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, I'm Captain Marvel, but a lot of that's not because I love the character that much, but I really, really like Brie Larson. So that's what's got me excited about that. I think she's going to be great in that role. And I really want to see Empress, something a bit different.
Do you see the picture that Brie Larson's boyfriend posted the other week of Brie Larson reading Captain Marvel, a graphic novel, and she had like a Captain Marvel onesie on?
Yeah.
And some people, I looked through the comments, some people would be negative about it. Going, oh, you're just reading about the character now. You can't win, can you? Doing your research, she's wearing a Captain Marvel hoodie.
People are idiots.
Just get over it.
Speaking of idiots, we aren't very good pronouncing a certain actor's name, and we're going to have to say it a lot in the next couple of years. So do you want to... we'll kick off with that email, which ends with a discussion of it.
Okay. This is Danny from Jersey here. I don't know if that's New Jersey or old school Jersey, cow Jersey.
Old school Jersey.
Danny from Jersey here. I just want to say I love your show and look forward to Saturday mornings like I used to as a child. Okay, bullet points. Brilliant. 3 bullet points here.
Love it.
Chris, great Odin joke. Way better than Odin's bum.
Agreed.
Dan, great t-shirts as always. Thank you. Appreciated.
Less sure about that.
Third, well, different. Joe Mango Yellow is Deathstroke. Laugh my ass off.
Yeah, so sometimes when we do the... we record like a few days in advance of when it goes live.
Yeah.
And so we were quite worried last week that we were going to record.
Thought that could have happened.
You were very worried that, and I was like, nah, they won't announce it for a while. And then thank God we got the show up and out a few days before Mango Yellow was introduced. It was announced as, who did it first? It was Jeff Johns, wasn't it?
Yeah, he did his first interview in his new role as, I don't know what you call it, like basically the Feige of DC EU.
And then Joe himself announced it. So Chris Matthews has congratulated us. He says, looks like you called it. I don't know if we did call it. I think we just
absolutely called it.
We reacted to
I actually
rumours.
suggested it. I think they watched the show and they just go, this guy has got something.
Yeah, we talk about him quite a lot.
Imagine that name on a poster.
However, Chris isn't so sure. He says, I'm not sure about the casting. I'd rather he was playing Shazam alongside The Rock as Black Adam. Hopefully Shazam will be Channing Tatum, and now Gambit has been delayed again. So quite negative from Chris, really. But
cheers, Chris.
Have we got more on that subject?
Yes. So this is from Adil. Joe Manganiello as Wolverine.
Yeah, he wrote that in before the announcement of Deathstroke.
Unlucky. Who would you cast as the next Wolverine? Tom Hardy. Done.
Tom Hardy, Bob Hoskins. This is interesting with Jonathan Friend. This is something I've touched upon on this show, and I thoroughly agree with. Jonathan, who's in Warrington, up near your neck of the woods.
Yeah,
he says,
sometimes.
Something was bothering me about the Deathstroke reveal that we got last week, and I've only just figured out what it is. DC simply don't know how to introduce their characters. Every character in Suicide Squad felt like they had no introduction at all, or far too many.
Yep.
The Justice League cameos in both BVS and Suicide Squad were done in the most uninspired way. And he said, every time we meet a DC character in any of the films, it feels like we're meeting a superpower with a personality, as opposed to meeting a real person with a superpower. Marvel got this right with Sam Wilson. We knew the man before we knew he could fly. I think I agree with all that. I think it's just dropping the ball a bit with those intros.
Quickly.
Yeah.
Be patient, but they can't afford to be patient. Anyway.
We'll just do it right.
This is from Henry Higgins, III.
Henry Higgins III, which is a grand title.
There is only one role for Matt Damon if he appears in Ben Affleck's Batman series. Hopefully it becomes a series. And that is Hush, especially if they can keep the casting a secret. Imagine the reveal when the bandages are finally removed, either by Hush himself or Batman by force. Bruce Wayne's childhood friend, played by Affleck's long-term friend, would be great synergy, while Damon could easily handle the physicality and emotional intensity of the character. We had that surprise role in Stellar when he just turned up and no one knew about it.
If you haven't seen Interstellar, sorry about that.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, and a little swear.
No, I didn't. I pulled it back.
But if
I said foot.
If they want to keep it secret, you just spoilt it. Brendan Schneck has written in, said, comic spoilers ahead, but I don't think they are comic spoilers. He said, was wondering if you guys think they would take a shot at the Court of Owls storyline in a Batman movie. If so, who would you cast as Batman's alleged brother? My personal picks are John Hamm or Clive Owen. They're quite good choices because they do look a bit like Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
I'm not a Clive Owen fan, and I really want to see John Hamm in a superhero movie.
He's been quite disparaging about superhero movies in the past. But
who, Hamm?
Yeah, but once the work dries up and the money comes...
Yeah, he's quite funny when he does it as well.
He's really nice, John Hamm. I saw the Black Mirror Christmas episode that he was in.
Oh, yeah.
And he was sat behind me. And he was like laughing during it. He was really nice. He spoke to people afterwards, just chilling out, having a beer.
Yeah, he's cool.
A really nice dude.
Yeah, but great idea, and we'll have Hamm for that.
Jonathan Bean. With Batman having been around for 20 years in the DCEU, do you think now would be a good time to tell the full Nightfall, Knight's Quest, Knight's End storyline, and not just adapt parts like they did in The Dark Knight Rises? Also, what's this about?
So, yeah, it's in the subject line.
It's in the subject line. I should have read that. You have highlighted it. I'm sorry. Number one, which DC villains movie I see against Marvel?
Yeah, so this is someone wrote in suggested this. We didn't have any good ideas, but you guys have, so that's helped us.
This is my bad. Number one, Riddler versus Tony Stark. It's good. Two intellectual men battling out.
Yeah, a bit like me and you.
Week on week. Number two, Mr. Freeze versus Spider-Man. I don't know what more to say about that. Doomsday versus Hulk.
Like that.
Classic matchup. Darkseid. He actually spelled Darkseid, which is helpful. Darkseid versus Thor.
Why you say it?
I know. Because your mind counter programs.
Darkseid versus Thor.
I don't know what to say about that. Brainiac versus the Avengers. Quite like that one.
Yep. Leroy Holt's written in with a couple. He thinks Lex Luthor versus Tony Stark would be the best choice.
Yeah, quite like that. But in the boardroom. All in the boardroom.
And it'd be like The Social Network.
Yeah, quite like that.
And on the flip side, same
series
actor.
of depositions.
On the flip side, Norman Osborn versus Oliver Queen.
Yeah.
Good choices.
Right, second chances. This is from Renato, who is from Quebec.
So yeah, again, someone wrote in and asked what films we think weren't done right first time around in the first wave of superhero movies and should have another go.
The Phantom with Billy Zane deserves a second chance. Probably update that in some cool way.
Yeah, but he's a man running around in like a bald
morph
purple suit.
It's a man on a stag do.
He looks like a penis. He does look like a penis.
Yeah.
Literally, not metaphorically.
Use it. Make it into a selling point.
Yeah.
And the second one is the obvious choice, The Rocketeer.
The Rocketeer. And there has been talk of them doing maybe a sequel, I think, not even a remake. But yeah, Rocketeer. Well, they nailed it first time. It just no one. It was a flop. But
yeah, Christ, we get through a lot of paper, don't we?
Yeah, so people have said that before. We don't really have to. We could put these all on
iPad.
Yeah, I like having paper though, and I like highlighting. And
it is a waste though.
David Jorgensen from Buffalo, New York, has written in. It says, first off, I'm going to ignore the dig at the Shadow movie with Alec Baldwin. So I guess we were a bit disparaging. He says, if you listen to the old radio show, that movie is a perfect silver screen rendition of what could very possibly have been a radio episode back in the Shadow's heyday. Is that to say it should pass into the annals of history as one of the best superhero movies ever? No. So that's why we had a dig at it. Do you know who played the Shadow back in the day?
No.
Orson Welles.
Really?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Pretty cool.
Amazing.
They're worth listening to. So David goes on to say, secondly, in terms of a new Shadow movie, with Doctor Strange coming out shortly and Shadow Comics recently being brought back out into the comic world, I think it is a perfect time to reintroduce the Shadow to the general public. He wants Christopher Nolan to direct. I think that's unlikely. I think he's done his bit, hasn't he? Other directors, he suggests David Fincher, starting high. I think, does David Fincher too serious? It was doing that animated comic book thing.
But he did it's a serious movie, but he did Gone Girl, which is quite a...
Yeah, it's quite schlocky. Yeah. Ridley Scott or Alex Proyas, who I think is quite a good choice. I think Shadow's entirely possible.
So, on the same topic, this is from Polis, and he said, I instantly thought of Howard the Duck, and here's why I believe it could work. brace yourself. His recent comics have shown him as a completely different character to how he was presented in the 1986 movie. He appeared in Guardians of the Galaxy, making him canon in the MCU. If Marvel Studios wants their own comedy movie to compete with Fox's Deadpool, Howard the Duck is the perfect choice with its self-aware humour. I think it's great. Like the new Howard the Duck comics, he's like this private detective. It'd be really weird, but it could be really funny.
I think that's the best choice. That's what we should have thought of at the time, really. Although James Gunn has said it was kind of just a joke putting him in.
James Gunn did a Facebook Q&A with himself this week, and he still says there's a massive Easter egg in Guardians of the Galaxy that no one has found. And he said, like, seriously, you're winding us up. He said, no, it is genuinely still there.
Oh man, good excuse to watch the film again.
Yeah, but like.
And what about the spoiler for the new one he's given away? Mm-hmm. Chris Pratt gets beheaded at the end of the film.
Has he said that?
Yeah. I mean, I'm guessing it's a joke. But Chris Pratt has now been talking about it now, and he's been saying, I can't believe he's beheaded me, and it's kind of an ongoing joke. This is from Sean Leonard in Buffalo, New York. He says, here are my thoughts on Shia LaBeouf almost being in Suicide Squad. So did you read this? That LaBeouf did a crazy interview with Vanity Fair, where he was slagging off. Of
course he did.
He was slagging off Steven Spielberg, saying that he hates all the films he made with Spielberg apart from Transformers 1, because he's done like 3 or 4 films with Spielberg. He revealed that he's got 2 tattoos. He recently got 2 tattoos of Missy Elliott done, one on each of his knees. And
what, her face?
Yeah, I think so. And he also said that Ayer wanted him to play Scott Eastwood's role in Suicide Squad. And obviously Ayer and him were coming off the back of Fury that they'd done together. Yeah. But he said the role was a much larger role at the time. But the studio, he's very honest. I like LaBeouf, actually. I like his honesty and stuff. And he said the studio just didn't want me. They said, yeah, you're a good actor, but we don't want to deal with you. Yeah. Because you're too difficult.
You're a nightmare. So, we're gonna have to, you're wearing shorts in the movie. You're going to have to remove Missy every day.
So Sean says, I think LaBeouf was pretty good in David Ayer's Fury. I could see why Ayer wanted him. Also, I would have killed to see Shia and Lita go back and forth behind the scenes with their method acting crap. It would have been a must on the Blu-ray. LaBeouf playing a hardened Navy SEAL and Leto and his bullshit. It would have ended in fisticuffs in real life. I mean, that's the film I want to see. It's just the 2 of them
going at it,
being knobs behind the scenes.
My last email this week is from Rebecca. I agree with Adam, more shows.
Sorry, what's Rebecca's last name?
Yanovskaya.
Ah, nice. You got it, Rebecca.
Maybe not quite. Yanovskaya. Anyway, I agree with Adam, more shows, one a day. It's not like you guys have anything better to do, eh?
Yeah, so this is the second email we've had asking for more shows.
We've got a lot of printing on.
Could we do more than one show?
Possibly. We talked about like watching a classic movie a week. Classic superhero, like a superhero movie, going back way back. Like watching really old stuff.
Phantom, Shadow and things like that.
Yeah, Swamp Thing.
Maybe.
And then doing that as like a book club thing, but
trouble is it's more work for us.
It is. And we get a flat salary, so there's really no incentive at the end of the day.
And it would mean watching a lot of these films that aren't very good.
If you give us a cut of the YouTube money, then you get an episode every probably half a day.
Only that Thor one. Yeah, well, let us know if you would actually watch that.
Yeah.
And then, how many would we need to say yes? And then how many do we need?
Probably at least 5 to make it worthwhile.
I reckon 50. If 50 people say yay, we'll try it once.
Yeah, no promises.
But we're not even that organised, although Al Patrickson thinks we are quite organised. He says, I have 2 important questions for you regarding superhero shows coming at the end of 2016.
Okay.
Do you plan on having the box office look back on the weekend before Christmas, the Superhero Show Awards on the weekend of Christmas, and the 2017 Superhero Movie Preview on New Year's Eve Day? Daniel, we need to know now.
Dale, are they booked in? Dale's just in the gallery. He says, yes, they are booked in.
I mean...
I want
to know why Al needs to know this right now.
Well, he's got to plan his Christmas. You know when I used to do that? I used to get the TV Time
and
highlight it. He's working out, should I book something on New Year's Eve or should I stay in?
So Daniel, this is more your show than mine. So
that's not true. And also...
Well, you're the one that posts them, so...
Okay. Yeah, sure. Why not?
But are we now committed? Are we now committed?
The one that's going to be tricky is a look at the weekend before Christmas. You and I both have a lot of holiday. We can do this off camera. You and I have a lot of holiday to get through.
Maybe do it around my house.
Okay. Yeah, with mince pies in front of a fire.
A boozy. How about
Brandy.
a boozy? Should we do a drunk superhero
It's
show?
5 hours long. We're not.
Or would
posting
people
this.
not like that?
I don't know.
Let's do a drunk superhero show. Like, and I can flick peanuts like Superman when he's evil Superman.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. If you're into that, let us know. supershow@ign.com.
That's the most evil thing you can do is flick
peanuts.
That's how they show
someone who has an allergy.
Breaking mirrors. He also thinks we should do an online voting poll akin to the Oscars for the awards show. But that would suggest we care what you think, and we don't. We only care what we think.
Yeah, and on
That's
that
not
note,
true. That's not true.
Yeah, if you want to let us know what you think, email us supershow@ign.com. Chris has a filter set up that goes directly into bin.
Trash.
And until next week, stay right with us on IGN.